you mentioned their opposites, like this being of becoming, and then becoming of being. It almost seems like one is reverse of the other.
Oh yeah, it seems like that, but it is not.
Is it not?
Not quite.
Not quite.
There is a situation which mathematicians have discovered
Okay.
called the liar's paradox.
Okay.
And this is a man who walks around and he says, I always lie. And then my job, your job, is to find out if this man is lying or telling the truth. And if you lose the traditional laws of logic, you end up proving that he's lying.
Okay.
But you continue the argument, and then you improve saying that he's telling the truth.
It's telling the truth.
And then, of course, you continue the reasoning, and then you prove he's lying. And what you have is a little circle.
Is it sort of bipolar in nature? Like one way is this way, another way is this way.
No, what it is, it's the universal cycle of breath. The universal cycle of breath says it has 4 phases. You inhale, you hold the breath in, that's the element of fire. Then you exhale, that's the element of air. And then you hold the breath out, that's the element of earth. And you do it again. You hold the breath in, you inhale, that's the element of water.
Okay.
And now what happens is that when a particle is just sitting there with nobody looking at it, no interference, okay? Then what it does is it goes through that little circle and it becomes alternatively a particle that sits there, but then after a certain amount of time it becomes a wave. And, and then that wave stays around for a while, and then the wave becomes a particle.
Okay.
And there's certain frequency for that. For elementary particle, it's very high, it's in the gigahertz.
Okay.
It's very difficult to detect because precisely you're not looking at it.
Okay. Why I'm asking this, in India 500 years ago, a great saint by the name of Kabir, is in one of those posters there, the third one from the bottom. And he talked about this universal breath and the reversal of it. Because it's, till you breathe in reverse, he said, you will never awaken what we call the Kundalini. So there's a normal way of breathing through the nostrils, and there's a reverse breathing through the mystical channel called Sushumna. If somebody can breathe through that, then that person has awakened the Kundalini. I don't know what you call, is it electromagnetic field.
Right.
So that's why I touched based on that, reversal of the breath. Whoever can do that. In other words, the person, that yogi, is not breathing through the nostrils, but he's breathing in reverse, through reverse breathing. And that's what gives rise to the Kundalini awakening.
Well, one of the things you're touching upon right now is that as a consequence of the 4 laws of creation, particles and beings, anybody that exists, can do one of 2 things. They can be in a stationary state in which they just go through the universal cycle of breath. They go from level 1, which is a being of a being, and to level 2, being of becoming, go back to level 1. Or they can make a jump and they can decide they want to do more than that.
Okay.
And then what they do is they come down to all 4 levels of the law of creation down to changing.
Okay.
And now they start changing, and they come back up towards the new, different being.
Okay.
And that's called the 7-step process, of course. And the existence of the 7-step process is a consequence of the existence of the 4 laws of creation.
I get it.
And so once you get up there, now he starts again doing the steady states of the universal cycle of breath. But in the process of coming down and changing is when he awakens the Kundalini.
Okay.
And when he gets to the other side, he's actually, doing the universal cycle of breath in the opposite direction.
Okay. Well, that at least it ties up.
It ties to it. Yes, it's relevant.
Yeah.
And amazing.
That's amazing logic. Okay. Now tell me, what relevance these 4 laws do they have to in terms of quantum mechanics? Does it have any relevance to it?
Right. Normal quantum mechanics, the one that we are all used to, does a very good job of utilizing the 2nd law, which is the being of becoming. It's called the particle-wave duality.
Okay.
And it does a very good job of using the 4th law, which is becoming.
Okay.
Just things are changing. The wave function is changing and moving.
Yeah.
But it does nothing about the 1st law, universal beingness. that everything is created but never destroyed. It has no way to discuss that.
Okay.
And it has no way to discuss the third law, which is the collapse of the wave function, which is the becoming of being, which is also the law of karma.
So are you saying quantum mechanics ignores
Karma.
2 of the laws of the 4?
2 of the 4. It's halfway there. This is much better than we had when we were doing Newton's law.
So the 2 laws must be, 2 laws which quantum mechanics ignore are the first and the third.
That's correct. And that gives rise to all sorts of paradoxes and inexplicable mysteries.
Okay.
One of those paradoxes is that although we have some idea how the particle becomes a wave, we have no idea how the wave becomes back into a particle. Schrödinger's cat, is he alive or dead when you're not looking at him? We don't know, because Schrödinger's cat is alternatively alive and dead as he spins off in his interaction-free world.
Okay. But quantum mechanics recognizes law number 2 and 4.
Oh yes, it does, and it does an excellent job of that.
Okay.
And the things that it misses, for example, is it misses the life force of biological system. Cannot be derived from the quantum mechanics because it's an etheric principle. It misses things like we call tetrahedral relativity, in which not only there are the 4 physical coordinates, but there's another 3 etheric coordinates.
So what do you mean by tetrahedral? Is
I mean by that,
like a triangle or something?
Right. A tetrahedron is when you have 4 points, one above the other 3.
Okay.
And then in ordinary relativity, a point in space is just a pure point. So all you can do with it is you can move it up and down, sideways. But in tetrahedral relativity, the point is actually a very tiny tetrahedron. Has 4 different points. Each point has 3 coordinates. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12 coordinates. And of course we have time, our friend time.
But it has 3 plus 1, 4 planes, hasn't it?
The tetrahedron has 4 surfaces.
What do they represent?
Each of the 4 surfaces are represented by the points at the corners of the 3 triangle.
Right.
Now, if you want to know what are those points, the first point, well, it's 2 pairs. One pair is either physical or etheric. That's being division by 2. And the other division is another factor of 2. It is either preconceptual or conceptual. And the existence of a preconceptual is not something that current day metaphysics likes to talk about or even knows too much about. So there's a preconceptual physical, there's a preconceptual etheric, there's the physical etheric, and the conceptual etheric and the conceptual physical.
Okay. So this tetrahedral relativity, does it have some connection with Einstein's general relativity?
Oh yes. Einstein general relativity talked about what's called the covariant coordinates.
Okay.
And the covariant coordinates of a phenomenon were said to be held in the mind of the person that's doing the calculation.
Okay.
The contravariant coordinates were said to be the results of measurements with a ruler. Observable by anybody who knows how to read the ruler.
Are you saying the covariants
are etheric.
Or in the kind of spiritual side of things?
Yeah, they're a little more on the spiritual side of things.
Contra is here,
right,
like where we can measure and weigh and everything.
And so said Einstein, well, don't worry, folks. The covariance is just there for convenience. They don't have anything to do with what we really wanted.
But it helps solve the equation.
Oh, but it solves the equation. Okay. And once he solved the equation, he predicted the bending of light by various things. Okay. And so the jury is out, you know, as to whether or not the covariant components are relevant for that purpose.
Okay.
I say they are.
Okay.